Hey, it's Barry.
And Dave.
I guess I'm Chief Dove, right?
All right.
And who are you with?
Thunderhawk Lures.
Right on. We had to come back to ICast.
Right.
Dave and I had left. We were back home, and then this morning, it was like, I think we need to go back because we did not get a chance to talk to these guys yesterday, and we really, really like what they've got going on here. It's something different, something special. So we're here. Let's talk about some of the lures, where they're made, and then we're going to get into a little bit and the crossover between freshwater and saltwater.
And while we were walking around, these guys, this caught our eye. So that's what we do when we walk around. This caught our eye. Some unique presentations here as far as lures. So I figured we need to talk to Mike.
Yep.
Hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by again, especially coming back again. I saw you the other day.
Yep.
We've been busy as can be because ICast just, our stuff, it's going crazy.
Yeah.
We've opened stores in Italy and France, South Africa today, just today.
Awesome.
Nice.
We
That's
picked
great.
up a lot of new clients. Our stuff, our website sales have gone crazy since ICast last year.
Good.
And
Good reason for it.
a lot of this stuff, I can tell you, it's organic. We do a lot of research more on fish than fishermen.
Right.
The secondary, in my opinion, is the fisherman. Yeah, it's hard to tell a boss that's signing the paychecks to say that because it's all about sales, you know, a lot of companies. But our company it's truly organic, and we do a lot of research all the way from Minnesota to Texas to New York, all the way down there in Florida. A lot of my testing is done in the summertime in Minnesota.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't want to be there in the wintertime. Lures have a hard time on ice.
Yeah.
And then down here in Florida, during the months of January and February, I'm down there doing a lot of testing. So there's a lot of specific colors and stuff I came up with that fishes down here good as well. We have hard baits, crankbaits, lipless baits, square bills. We got a jig it's different. It's like everything else. I do this so I can efficiently fish and catch fish and bring them in the boat. That's the big thing. The hardest thing is the R&D side is wanting to track the fish, get the fish to bite it. But the most important thing is, can you get it in the boat?
Yep.
So if you have those three components down, you got something that works.
Yeah, right.
What's going to work in, like, we're from Headwaters Lake, what's going to work in a heavy hydrilla environment, which is what we have in Headwaters?
Well,
What would you recommend?
One of the things specifically, we have a soft plastic. It's a cross between a crawl bait and a creature bait, if you will.
Yeah.
This particular cover, I found out down here specifically that our version of June bug, heavy purple down here.
Oh, yeah.
This thing can work in Texas rig or a back of a swim jig, or however you want to use it down here. If you want to punch it with a heavy, 1 ounce, 1 1/4 ounce, it comes through good. Well, you notice on the back of that, those claws, if you will, if you want to call them that, they're heavy vibration. We have a smaller version of it as well. It's called the Camel. This is called a Camel Crawl, and this is a Camel Crawl Juniors. Again, kind of match the hatch of what's going on.
Right.
And a big thing I've done a lot of testing on down here is I created what's called a grunt jig. It's a hybrid finesse jig. And a lot of guys, well, that's a little small, or the hook's too small. Well, I'll argue with them on that, because the reason I created this, I love to skip. If I see a dock or an overhang, I got to skip it. It's something about my DNA, I don't know.
Yep.
But the most important thing is I got tired of hanging up jigs. This thing I designed to come through rock, come through grass, come through wood, like nothing else you've ever seen. And I have what's considered a small hook on it. But when I did that, specifically, everything works in conjunction with each other. I think a lot of times in the industry, guys get too caught up on way too big a hook, too big a hook. Now, the problem with that is in the past, the years technology, with the hooks especially, you'd have to have a big hook to get the strongness or the steadiness of the hook so it wouldn't, bend out. But then if you had a small hook, the likelihood it was too thin. You would bend it out and you have a hard time with it. So we created our own hook too. You'll notice this is only like a 1/0 hook.
Yeah.
This is a 5/8 ounce jig, and we have a 3/8 ounce, a smaller version. But this thing I designed to come through everything. And my final testing on this, like I said, it was in Minnesota in the summer, and down there in Florida in the winter. I took this thing down to Kissimmee Lake when the water was you guys had a canal problem or something down here last year, and the water was way down, so it was coming through everything down here. But reason I wanted to test it on Kissimmee, because the huge lily pads you got down there.
Yeah.
If you get through lily pads with a jig, you're doing good.
Yep.
So final testing was actually done on Lake Kissimmee,
Gotcha.
coming through the nastiest stuff I can find. And to be honest with you, this is all about fishing too. A lot of guys get caught up in too many specifics. I want to take a guy fishing.
Right.
I want him to have a good time, and it's frustrating for guys in Florida, especially if you're not really used to it, is all the vegetation y'all have down here.
Yep.
And you get a guy that's never fished a jig before, and you throw a jig with him down there, he's pissed off by noon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And so I threw this. I took my a lot of novice people up in Minnesota. Got a buddy owns a resort up there. I took them on a highly pressured, highly vegetative lake with a lot of lily pads. They never got hung up. They were catching fish because that's where the fish at on a sunny day. They're under those pads, under the stumps, under all the stuff. They're having a ball with it. But yet, if you're a novice, got first time jig guy, or all the so-called experts we have running around this place everywhere, everybody likes this jig. And specifically down here, I created a color just for down here, and it works everywhere. It's called Kissimmee Gill. It's got a lot of purple in it.
Yep.
If you look at the bluegills, I was staying at a cabin off of Kissimmee a couple years ago, and a guy next to me brought in a bunch of bluegills, and they were that color, that dark color bluegill. You had a ton of purple in it.
Yeah.
So if you didn't notice a lot of the Linus baits, I make a lot of purple and stuff, and I think it works
Good
everywhere.
color.
Yeah.
And we also have our crankbaits specifically too. I got a red ear color too for down here.
Nice.
Red ears, your specs, you call them. I call them crappie up north. So a lot of different stuff that works down here. Our crankbaits work well in different, especially your canals you got down here with a little bit of deeper in the canals. Bring our crankbaits down and run along the little riprap stuff, and
Another
works
bait
good.
that caught my eye was this guy here, kind of flat from a
Hold it. Hold it.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
So both freshwater, the bass, and saltwater. So I see this imitating a baby flounder.
Absolutely.
And a darker color, which they have here.
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool. Tell us a little bit about this.
It's called the grenade.
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 I like it.
All right. Now, a lot of people say there's other companies do something like this. Okay, cool, whatever. Again, I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, but however, I like to make that wheel better, right? This thing for $5.99 a pack, you get 4 of them in this 3.75, and then we have a small pack of 6, $5.99. I've got as many as 30 fish on one plastic bait before I replaced it. You can Texas rig this thing. You can free rig it, which I love to do in a free rig because it's buoyant. Back of a swim jig. I also use a smaller version of this, like a chunk on the back of a jig. Act like a chunk. And that's the key thing I think on fishing is too many people are stuck on what they've seen somebody else do.
Well, you were talking about, though, if you rig this up, say Carolina style or Carolina rig, or with just a sinker hits, but this thing continues to follow it down and then backs up.
Yeah, well, on a free rig, you put like especially about this bigger one, I use about a 1/4 ounce weight with an open eye on it. Use fluorocarbon, that's key too. So it'll slide down, you cast it out. It's easy to cast with that free rig on front. It slides down first. The weight comes down first, and it's pretty cool the way this falls. This falls down like it's swimming towards that. It looks like it's chasing bait. It really does. I can see saltwater really doing some damage. And so once it's down on the bottom, I use this to bed fish too in the spring up north. Smallmouth. Hate this thing. Hate it.
Right.
So it comes down, and you give your line a little slack. This the free rig, the weight will stay down on the bottom. This thing, because it's buoyant, will actually back up. And then if you see a bass messing with the bed, just pull up a little tip a little bit to go back down like it's eating its eggs. Again, we made it what's called indestructible plastic, our own formula, and it's the deal. Now the unique thing about this was because of the plastic we use that's durable, I put a hook slot in here so you can lay the hook down right in the middle of it. So you don't have to expose it. It's automatically right there. As soon as they put pressure on that thing, the hook is coming out. I actually took this tail from a drop shot bait we had a couple of years ago. And the reason I put this tail on the back of it, as you can see, even in my hand holding it still, it's moving. Right? And also the ribs on this thing, you have just enough meat to do what you want with your hook. However, what this does, this pushes water and holds scent real well, and they feel it anchoring the ladder lines. They're feeling that movement. So the small one is a 2.75. I use this for free rigging. A Carolina rig, this is nasty because again, it stays up there and out of the vegetation. But the little grenade's a 2.75. they somebody's jamming. Snout hook that on a drop shot.
Yeah.
Or what? Another thing we're doing with this thing, as you can see, it's small enough. Ned rigging on beds in the spring.
Absolutely.
That little thing right there, you just sit it on the bottom. The key to Ned rigging is not moving the bait.
Right.
It's moving on its own.
Yeah.
This thing is
Under current.
their money. And like I said earlier, I use this on our smaller ones. I have an open one. I'll just show you my different color scheme. I snout hook it right here and use it as a chunk, non-traditional chunk trailer. Remember the old chunks you used to get?
Yep.
You can put whatever scent you want on there, and this thing slows it down, and on the way down, that sucker's moving back and forth, and you sit on the bottom of the lake, this thing floats up in a defensive posture like a crawl and just starts wiggling. Makes it madder than hell.
Yeah, right. Yep. Very
Mike,
cool.
Where can our folks pick these up?
You can pick, as of now, you can pick them up a lot of retailers throughout the country. If they don't have Thunderhawk lures, ask them to pick it up. We're easy to deal with. But we have a website. You can buy stuff from our website itself.
Okay.
There's a lot of video content there. We try to get underwater footage, all the stuff to show you what we're doing.
Okay.
Thunderhawklures.com. Check out the stuff. I really appreciate you guys stopping by, looking at our stuff.
Mike.
This is it's going to be a big deal. I can already see the feedback we're getting here.
We're going to put some of these tests out there, both on the freshwater and the saltwater side.
For sure. Thanks, Mike.
All right, man.
Your time,
Appreciate
brother.
it.
Yeah, man. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot. Yep. Glad we stopped by here. All right, folks. We'll see you in the next video.